Violence! Welcome back. Today we're discussing the rising violence around the United States and the skyrocketing gun sales. Law enforcement officials in several large U.S. cities are wrestling with the sharp rise in violent crime amid a national debate over the role of police, calls to defund or reform the police, and growing fiscal concerns. Many cities are on track to have their most violent summers in recent history. Milwaukee, homicides up 37%, shootings 56%. New York, homicides 23%, shootings 44%. Chicago, 39%, 42%. Philly, 19%, 53%. Atlanta, 9%, 19%. For this video, we're going to concentrate on New York because, well, they're New York. So, in June, New York City saw a 130% spike in shooting incidents and a 30% spike in homicides than the same time last year, in June 2019. Many factors could be attributed to the rise in violence. For example, New York City released 2,500 prisoners due to COVID public health concerns. At least 10% of these prisoners have been rearrested for committing violent crimes. Now, New York City has also experimented with cash bail reform starting in January of 2020. This reform let out an incredible amount of prisoners that should have instead been kept in jail for not posting bail, and it was such a disaster that even Andrew Cuomo, one of the most incompetent people there is, threatened de Blasio, another incompetent person, to amend it, which was done so in April. But still, many of those people are out which should have been in prison. This last weekend, among many others, a 1-year-old kid was shot and killed in New York City. Listen to his father.
You took my son's life. I can't get that back. I can't hold him no more. I can't hear him calling me daddy no more. I can't kiss him no more. I can't play with him no more. I can't do nothing with him no more.
Alexandria Occasional-Cortex says that the uptick in violence is probably due to people being hungry and being scared for not being able to pay their rent.
So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. Do we think this has to do with the fact that there's record unemployment in the United States right now? The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession? Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
What? Breadlines? Not being able to pay your rent? There's a moratorium on evictions. The crimes are not petty larceny. The crimes are murder, shootings, homicides. We're talking 15 shootings in 15 hours. Kids getting killed. 1-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 80-year-olds. $1 billion slash from the New York City Police Department. 600 plainclothes anti-crime unit officers disbanded. And occasional cortex over here thinks that the cuts should have gone further. Crime is because of the bread. We need bread, rent. And what's the mayor doing? Tweeting, Black Lives Matter? I don't think they matter to you, sir. 1-year-old black kid shot and killed, and you're tweeting about the BLM mural. Most of the victims, in fact, have been black. And while we're talking about New York leadership, I don't get why they get praised in the media. Cuomo is some type of COVID savior. The news are saying how wonderful New York had 0 deaths on July 12th. Florida's getting 15,000 positive cases a day.
Florida reported more than 15,000 new cases in 24 hours, and that shattered the record for the highest single-day total ever reported in the U.S. That number tops the height of the pandemic in New York State, when more than 11,000 people tested positive on a single day in April. And
4,200 people died in Florida. 32,000 died in New York. But no, Cuomo's the most competent. Cuomo's policy required, nay, demanded, that positive cases be returned to old people homes and nursing homes. They had to take back the positive cases. It's mind-blowing, right? You're forcing nursing homes, which is filled with old people, to take back COVID-19 patients when you know that the old people are the most vulnerable. The head of a Brooklyn nursing home asked state officials if they could transfer the positive 19 cases to the Navy Ship Hospital and was denied. 6,000 nursing home residents died as a direct result of Andrew Cuomo's policy. But he's so competent. Anyway, we diverge too much on the Rona. Back to the violence. Now, one of the consequences that the civil unrest and the violence is doing is a skyrocketing gun sales. And it's not the gun sales that are causing the crime, it's the crime that's causing the gun sales. Now, Trump declared a national emergency on March 13th. In March, 700,000 guns were sold. A slight increase from a year before, but it's held pretty steady and through April as well. But then, in May 25th, George Floyd was murdered and riots and unrest exploded across the nation. By the end of May, gun sales increased 80% since that time last year. 1.7 million guns sold. Now, in June, another record, 3.9 million guns sold around the nation. That's a 145% increase from that time last year. In total, since January, 19 million guns have been sold across the United States. More telling is the fact that out of those 19 million guns, 40% of them were bought by first-time gun owners. What does that mean? Why is it important? Well, if I have 5 guns and I buy another one, I can't be out in public with 6 guns, wielding them all at once. So it doesn't really affect how many guns are out in public at once. But if 40% of these people are first-time gun buyers, that means there's like 7 million more guns out in the public at once. That's a big statistic. The BLM movement has decried to stop police brutality and defund the police. Where are the outrages for all the black kids that are being murdered? What about all the other black people, all the shootings? No outrage, because it doesn't fit their agenda.
Once we find out, this person will be brought to justice.
Are you getting a sense from authorities this was one shooter?
This was a white police officer gunning down 3 blacks and injuring 4. Wilson High School will be set on fire, and every black leader, every community leader will be up here. Black Lives Matter, hands up. Blacks are murdering blacks every 32 hours since June. I've been in this town all my life. I'm 56 years old. I am afraid of being shot and gunned down by a black. Again, if this was a white police officer shooting, killing 3 blacks, people will be out here, the school will be on fire.
And the mainstream media, well, they'll write some articles about it, but they won't give you any real airtime.
I was asked probably 12 questions about the Confederate flag. This president's focused on action, and I'm a little dismayed that I didn't receive one question on the deaths that we got in this country this weekend. I didn't receive one question about New York City shootings doubling for the 3rd straight week, and over the last 7 days, shootings skyrocket by 142%. Not one question. I didn't receive one question about 5 children who were killed, and I'll leave you with this remark by a dad. It broke my heart. A dad of an 8-year-old lost in Atlanta this weekend. They say Black Lives Matters. You killed a child. She didn't do nothing to nobody, was his quote. We need to be focused on securing our streets, making sure no lives are lost, because all Black lives matter. That of David Dorn and that of this 8-year-old girl. Thank you.
In such uncertain times, you need a strong man protecting you. Maybe a general, maybe a ginger general, or fear not, I am here. If you want my protection, like and subscribe. Ginger out.